Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everybody. I'm Dr. Azza and I'll be your conference host for LITEC 2020. LITEC 2020 is the Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement Conference. This is our 4th annual conference organized by ADeC the International Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement Conference. In this conference, we will bring to you several speakers, distinguished speakers on teaching and learning with leadership. Our first speaker is Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias with the title Lifelong and Life-Wide Learning, a Personalised Path to Professional Growth. Our second speaker of the first day, is Associate Professor Dr. Demeester Lieven from Singapore Management University. His title will be Institution-Wide Online Teaching in 2020, Lessons for Technology-Enhanced Personalised Learning at SMU. On the second day, we will have a special talk from Mr. Nazrin Wahab, founder of Virtual LearnCaster Certification. He'll be talking about how to engage online learners, virtual classroom management. On the third and the last day of our conference, we're going to have Dr. Muhammad Helmi Norman from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. His talk will be about personalizing the future of digital learning, educators' role moving into habits. Towards the end of the conference, we'll be having a plenary forum by 3 distinguished speakers of the country. We'll be featuring Professor Dr. Surya Baba, Associate Professor Dr. Hayati Abdullah, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Nurliza Wan Mahadi, and moderated by our own Dr. Amira Saryati Firdaus as the conference moderator. We look forward to welcoming every one of you to our conference. You're most welcome to register at umevent.um.edu.my/LITEC 2020. This will be our very first virtual conference powered by Microsoft Teams. With that, I thank you and see you soon.
Assalamualaikum. Hello and good morning. On behalf of ADeC University Malaya, we wish to extend our warm welcome and thank you to all participants and distinguished guests for joining our very first online conference and the 4th Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement Conference 2020, LITEC 2020. This conference is organized by ADeC University Malaya in collaboration with Malaysia Higher Education Teaching and Learning Council, MAGNETIC, and this conference is empowered by Microsoft. Before we start, here are a few housekeeping announcements. Number 1, participants who join LITEC 2020 by streaming, just sit back, relax, and enjoy these 3-day sessions as no mic or camera on are needed. Also, no daily registration is needed. Number 2, throughout the session, if you need to ask questions to our speakers or presenters, please do so by clicking Ask a Question box on the right side of your screen. Now, please note that there are 5 to 10 seconds delay for your posted questions to reach us at our producer box. And number 4, you may view each session after it ended through the same link given. Thank you and hope you enjoy throughout all the conference that we have for the all 3 days.
Hello, welcome to LITEC 2020. On behalf of our Director, Associate Professor Dr. Faradina Yusof, I would like to welcome all of you, our participants and guests of LITEC 2020. To officiate this conference, let's welcome our University of Malaya Vice-Chancellor Yang Berbahagia Datuk IR Abdul Rahim Hashim, who will be delivering his speech through a video which has been recorded previously.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan selamat pagi semua. And good morning to everyone. Associate Professor Dr. Faradina Yusof, Director of ADeC, University Malaya, panel of assessors of the award, management members and associate of ADeC, LITEC paper presenters, participants from other universities and also university colleges, both local as well as international, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, we are here today with regards to the international conference on this Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement, or LITEC 2020. And the general theme is actually on personalized learning. Yeah. I think what we do as far as personalized learning is concerned, it is actually the way forward. The way I see it is the way forward. Well, the reason for that is that at present, where we are experiencing the pandemic of COVID-19, a lot of universities are actually undertaking what we call online learning approach. Now, online learning approach, there are actually a lot of pros to it, and also there's a little bit of cons as well. I think one of the learnings that we came out from the pandemic is that online learning provides a fairly good approach to learning, especially for the students themselves. Yeah? Our experiences at University of Malaya has indicated that online learning provides a better learning experiences as far as students are concerned. Why do I say this? One of the aspects which has come out from our experiences is that students' attendance has actually increased, yeah, contrary to a lot of belief, and also at the same time, students' learning has also improved in the sense that they will actually ask more questions, yeah, because they have time to reflect. This is in relation to asynchronous mode of learning, and also at the same time, those students which are not forthcoming in face-to-face classes will have the time to also ask questions as well. Of course, it's a bit more burden as far as lecture is concerned, but nonetheless, it has more pros than actually cons. But at the same time, we still need to have face-to-face subsequently, because we as human beings are socially adaptive to that sort of environment, and for the development of attributes, development of values, and so on and so forth, will actually require face-to-face interaction at the same time. Now, this online learning have accelerated University of Malaya's approach to what we term as blended learning, or active learning. Some call it problem-based learning, and so on and so forth, where students themselves are actually the ones that the center of learning itself. So it becomes student-centered learning versus lecturer-centered learning. Yeah, he has accelerated that concept, and at the same time, what has happened is that we are flipping the classroom. In this case, the classroom is at where the students are located, versus if it's face-to-face, it will be actually on campus. Yeah, and as far as the University of Malaya's experiences are concerned, our learning management system, which we call Spectrum, is fully enabled, they are fully tested, and they are actually stable in that manner. But at the same time, we allow our lecturers to provide the other learning platforms at the same time. So it's not just using the learning management system that we have, they are allowed also to do other platforms at the same time. And of course, the issue of accessibility, the issue of devices is a concern for online learning, but at the same time, these are mitigated by other interventions at the same time. So all in all, what has come about is that the next step from blended learning would actually be personalized learning, where the students themselves will somehow rather have more interaction, yeah, individually with their lecturers, and this, as I mentioned earlier, help the learning tremendously. So the next step, perhaps, in the future is that the curriculum itself, the offering of the curriculum itself, will be more towards, it will not one size fits all, but they will actually be a cafeteria type or menu driven type of offerings, where you are not just looking at the core subjects that you are studying, but you can then pick and choose, of course, subject to certain limitation in terms of courses that you want to participate in or you would like to learn from. So this is something which perhaps an area where participants as well as presenters will need to discuss and consider how would that approach be done best if we move forward on so-called personalized learning, from what I understand from my perspective. But again, to all participants, this is a chance for you to, I guess, learn from others, yeah, and for the presenters to provide some perspective in terms of some of the research that they have done, yeah, and also look at from the angle to make sure that what has been offered is something which is leading in nature. Yeah, as far as UM is concerned, we are actually the #1 university in Malaysia, but at the same time, we also make sure that we are also shaping in terms of what is being offered as far as we move forward, yeah, in terms of teaching and learning. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to take this opportunity of thanking ADeC for organizing this online conference, yeah, on personalized learning, and also to thank the presenters who are presenting. I understand there's 29 presenters, and also for those who are participating from all over the world. Yeah, take this opportunity as much as you can to interact with each other, learn from each other, and perhaps the next time when we meet again, you can actually share what personalized learning is all about, and what does it provide as far as added value to the students that we have on campus. So with that, dengan lafaz Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I take this opportunity to launch the LITEC conference for 2020. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Datuk, for officiating LITEC 2020, and we hope all of our participants will benefit the best from this conference. We have a very special session next.
As a special appreciation for Prof. Dr. Noorsaadah Abdul Rahman, who's been supporting us from the start of LITEC grant until now, let's welcome her to share on university leadership in empowering teaching and learning research. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. Associate Professor Dr. Faradina Yusof, Director, Academic Enhancement and Leadership Development Center, or ADeC, University of Malaya. Panel of assessors for the awards, management members and associate of ADeC, LITEC's paper presenters, participants from other universities and university colleges, both local and international, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to start by saying that I'm very pleased to be given a special slot to record my speech for this 3-day Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement Conference 2020 organized by ADeC. I hope this will be a fruitful 3 days for all of us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today marks a very special day in the history of the University of Malaya, as this Learning Improvement and Teaching Enhancement Conference 2020 is the first ADeC flagship of its kind in University of Malaya, organized virtually during this tough time of the COVID-19 pandemic. We hope all will be inspired by the 28 projects that will be shared, as I'm sure we can all appreciate the principles for the betterment of our students' learning experience. I believe that this is acknowledgement to ADeC through the LITEC grant provided, and it will be a significant enhancement to an already great teaching and learning culture that we have in UM. I'm also very pleased to join you in this 4th edition of LITEC by giving my views on the university's leadership in empowering teaching and learning research. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, university's role has always been focused since the last decade in producing high-impact research. Thus, a lot of funding and emphasis has been put into producing high-impact publication and journal papers. The traditional role of teaching and learning borne by the lecturers are slowly losing its attractiveness as the university's community are better rewarded for their research outcome and achievements. Little that we know or realize that slowly this core business of ours as academic, which is to disseminate knowledge and instill skills and values to our primary consumers, which is our student, seem to be less sexy and becoming more boring routine that is just expected out of us. This phenomenon requires tactful leadership in order to reposition the role of teaching and learning back to the center stage, so as our primary client will get a direct benefit from us, the lecturers. More importantly, the good research finding and impactful activities that we do in our research that we get so much acknowledgement for can be effectively instilled into our classrooms and subject lectures that we share with our students. It would be very great for our students to become the first people we tell the outcome of our research. And if we are able to put that in a context with a bigger picture of the body of knowledge, having us as lecturers who are active in research should be a privilege to our students, as the inquisitive research nature we have in us should also be instilled in our teaching and learning practices. So, what can the university do to push this agenda? What can we do is to put the same appreciation and reward to academics to explore the good and effective teaching and learning delivery through grants and acknowledgement. This is why the university commits to constant teaching and learning research funding every year since 2016. This is the 5th year of the teaching and learning research funding that we have actually provided, and we could see some good improvement in teaching and learning practices across the University of Malaya over many faculties and 101 Litarians projects since 2016. The culture is spreading positively. Our students come from highly assisted stage or stage education system, flipping the role of 180 degrees into learner-centric or guide on the side teaching and learning style when entering the universities and meeting us may have to be done gently and efficiently. Thus, we have to always reflect on our practices and constantly adapt to it with our students' readiness and potential. This is why teaching and learning such as LITEC is highly relevant, especially in this current age, to cope with the changes we might not have expected when we started our career as lecturers and academicians years ago. I am therefore very proud through this event ADeC took the initiative for UM in the light of acknowledging and rewarding good teaching practices across all faculties, apart from just the existing CTETs and KPIs. We realize that other universities are also doing the same thing. For example, the T30 project by UKM is offering non-monetary grants to their lecturers who are interested in teaching and learning innovation. The Pertandingan Inovasi PNPK Inovasi by UKM, or the setting up of MOOC courses by lecturers as their KPI. These are the form of effort done by our local counterparts in improving students' teaching and learning and rewarding the academic staff. In line with that, the University of Malaya also would like to empower ADeC in strengthening the teaching and learning portfolio and keeping our lecturers on par with the international practices in terms of teaching and learning skills and classroom innovations, and I would personally give my full support for this noble agenda. To conclude my speech, once again, I would like the team in ADeC, headed by Associate Professor Dr. Farah, in making this event a successful and meaningful one for everyone. On behalf of the management of University of Malaya, I sincerely hope that all parties will keep up with the spirit we share today for the betterment of our students and our beloved nation as a whole. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum.
Thank you so much, Prof. Noorsaadah, for her thoughtful sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct pleasure to invite our LITEC 2020 keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, Director of Center for Development of Academic Excellence, University Science Malaysia, USM, to present his keynote speech on login to lifelong and life-wide learning. May I read some biodata of Prof. Abdul Karim? Professor Abdul Karim Alias is a professor of food technology at the School of Industrial Technology in University Science Malaysia. Currently, he is teaching 3 courses in the undergraduate level. He's been teaching food science and food technology subject for the past 24 years, since 1994. As a teacher, he always aspired to nurture and educate his students to become lifelong learners. He believes roles of educators goes beyond transmitting knowledge. Prof. Abdul Karim Alias is a strong advocate of leveraging the internet as an alternative medium for learning and teaching. His mission is to step out from the physical boundary and comfort of his own classroom to reach out as many global learners as possible by sharing whatever little knowledge and skills he has for the benefit of mankind. To achieve this mission, Prof. Karim has developed and maintained a number of teaching portals, websites, and blogs related to education in general. He created original learning resources as well as curated existing educational resources. His latest blog, One Stop Learning, focuses on teaching and learning and discussions on issues related to higher education. In 2002, Prof. Karim received an inaugural USM Excellent Educator Award and received Anugerah Tokoh in Anugerah Sanggar Sanjung. Recently, he received Malaysia's Rising Star 2015 Award. Prof. Karim is a master trainer for the Academy of Higher Education Leadership, that's ACAP, and also a trainer in the Technology Mediated Learning Workshop. He has conducted more than 100 workshops, especially on using technology in teaching and learning in University of Malaysia. So without further ado, Prof. Karim, the session is yours.
Thank you, Prof. Noorsaadah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera and hello everyone. First of all, a quick sound check. Is my audio clear? Loud and clear. All right. So it's really a great pleasure to be here in this LITEC or LITEC program, and thank you for having me as a speaker this morning to share on the topic of lifelong learning and life-wide learning. Thank you very much to the organizer, Associate Professor Dr. Faradina, the director, and also everyone there in UM, and I guess the participants from other universities and other places as well. All right, let me share my slides. Okay, can you see the slide? All right, thank you. Okay, this is the topic that I'll be sharing this morning: lifelong and life-wide learning for all, a personalized path to professional growth. And basically, these are the two areas or two aspects I want to touch on: the what, the why, and the how of lifelong learning and life-wide learning, and lifelong learning in the digital age. Because just now I heard the Vice-Chancellor talk about personalized learning, online learning. Yes, I'm a strong advocate of online learning, so maybe my views is a bit biased, but I guess with the experience of the COVID-19 episode, I believe everyone would think that online learning is no longer an option. And therefore, every one of us should embark on this so-called online education bandwagon and be competent as an online educators. But today, I will talk about a broad topic on related to learning, which basically lifelong and life-wide learning as well. I love this picture. This picture reminds me my childhood. If you see that boy with a lamp on his hand, that basically like me, because I was the son of a fisherman, and I remember in this kind of situation, early in the morning, I followed my father, to the sea because he's a fisherman, and he always took me everywhere. But I just want to ask this question to you: when you get up every morning, and do you always look forward to start the day and do what you love and indulge in your passion? So you don't have to answer the question now. Just keep this question in mind, and then maybe towards the end, maybe you will find the answer, or maybe you have found the answer now. Okay. Now, I'd like to start with these quotes from my icon or my idol. This Professor Walter Lieven. He has retired many years ago. He's a professor of physics at MIT. And this is what he said about knowledge, about learning. Knowledge does not narrow. Knowledge only adds. And without knowledge, many experiences in life remain very narrow and very shallow. Very powerful words about knowledge, and it's related to about lifelong learning as well. And this is from Abraham Lincoln, or at least this word attributed to him. He said, "I don't think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday." Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me define what is lifelong learning. There are many definitions out there, and I take this one from European Commission. Lifelong learning is all purposeful learning activity undertaken throughout life with the aim of improving knowledge, skills, and competencies within a personal, so it can be very personalized, civic, social, and or employment related perspective. So it can be very for professional development, it can be for personal development, for professional development. So learning can happen in any context, in any situation, in any kind of environment for many purposes. So lifelong learning, in a nutshell, is a continuous process of learning to know, learning to do, and learning to live together. So that's what lifelong learning is about, because we want to acquire new knowledge, learning to know. We want to learn how to do things, learning to do. And we want to use the knowledge to live in a society, learning to live together. So lifelong learning can be very individualized, can be very personalized for personal development. It can be also a learning society. The whole society is a learning society. The whole cities can be also a learning cities, or the whole organization can be a learning organization. In fact, can we say that a university is a learning organization? Well, not necessarily actually. Learning organization is when everyone from the top leadership to the person, on the ground really look at learning as a way to improve themselves. So we have a company like Apple, very innovative company here, Apple, Microsoft. These are giant company where the whole organization is a learning organization. They put millions, they put a lot of investment in talent development, in capacity development, in learning, in training, because they know when people keep on learning, they will acquire new knowledge, they will become more innovative, more creative, and collectively that would contribute to the positive impact to the organization, not to the person only. So on the broader picture, when we look at lifelong learning in the context of education, so I like to see education as a landscape, as you can see here, the whole landscape of a continuous value chain, starting from when we were born. So this is what I say from from cradle to grave. So at any point in our development, in the human development, when we start learning from our parents, then we go to the kindergarten, we go to the primary school, secondary school, and to the tertiary and higher education. At every single point here, we learn new things. So I look at education as a continuous value chain. So we get a qualification from the A level to the PhD, from the PMR to the PhD, and we go along this path and we learn new things. But does that mean when someone get a PhD, learning will stop there? There are some people that have this kind of mindset that once I have my PhD, that's the highest qualification that you can ever get, and I will stop learning there. Or they cease learning, or they don't have that motivation again to learn new things, and they just focus on what they think they know best, and they don't bother to learn new skill, new knowledge, and basically become stagnant. So ladies and gentlemen, let me say this, a degree doesn't give a true depth of one's competency. If someone has a degree, doesn't mean that he's very smart, very clever, very wise. No, because there's so much more out there, because the true learning actually happens in real life. And if you know the 70-20-10 model, the 10% of learning, only 10% of learning happens in the formal environment, in a formal education setting. But the 20% actually happens in the social interaction environment, where we interact with our colleagues, with our peers, with our coach, someone coach and facilitate our learning through coaching and through, through social interaction, and 70% through experiential learning. And therefore, when one has a degree, it doesn't mean that they are, they know everything. And we see here a good example here, Tun Daim here got his PhD. I think this is from right? After 11 years. After 11 years. So someone probably would mock that, there's a long time it takes very long to get a PhD. To me, it's okay, because as long as you have that desire and that passion to learn, the title probably not important, but the process and the experience of going through the learning, the journey is actually more meaningful. And this again from the news a few years ago, about 4 years ago, YouTube trained dentist fined. This lady actually was caught practicing as a dentist, but she actually didn't have that qualification. But who cares? She watched YouTube and learned all the skill to become, to do all what a dentist, qualified dentist can do. Again, it is all about learning as well. And this Julius Higo, the Olympic medalist, learned from YouTube. He got a silver medal in the Olympic, but he learned all the skill of javelin, the technique of doing javelin from YouTube. So therefore, learning is not limited to a formal environment only, because nowadays with the internet, we have an exabyte of information out there in the internet as a huge knowledge repository where we can learn just about anything. That's a lifelong learning. What about life-wide learning? Life-wide learning, this is one definition of life-wide learning. It facilitates learners to acquire and integrate various sets of knowledge and skills in order to apprehend, advance, or even invent new knowledge and skills. So we can think of life-wide learning as, learn a wide range of topics, wide range of skill, as many things as possible, rather than focusing only on our subject of interest alone or our specialization. So meaning that, we want to go wide rather than we go deep. So this will make a person to be a very kind of having a very holistic kind of worldview kind of things, because the person will become very wise and very knowledgeable because he or she has a wide range of broad-based knowledge. That's basically what life-wide learning is. So if we look at this model here, workers have traditionally accumulated knowledge in a T-shaped profile. So I think anyone should have a broad-based competency, especially a lecturer, a teacher, a lecturer at the university. When they first join the university, they always complain that sometimes they have to teach a subject that they don't have the expertise. But to me, just grab any course that you are given, teach as many courses as possible in the curriculum in the first 5 years or even in the first 10 years, because you want to get the broad-based knowledge. The more courses that you teach in the curriculum, the more the broader that you get, So you go broad first, then after 10 years or after 5 years, then only you start to teach 2 or 3 courses and develop the expertise, go deep into that particular subject. This is to me a good thing to do, but a better one would be like this. You go broad for the first 5 and 10 years. I'm talking in the context of being a lecturer at a university. But then after that, after 5 years or maybe after 10 years, stick to 2 or 3 courses and go deep. And in the bigger context, when we talk about life-wide learning, we want to learn as many things as possible. So we go broad, but we can go deep into a few subject matter and be really expert in those particular area. So this is what today's so-called today's worker need so-called M profile knowledge to be a really competent so-called knowledge worker. Nowadays, probably this is the model that we want to aim for, the M model. So we have a broad-based competencies and we have also deep expertise in a few areas. So jack of all trades, yes, and master of 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, so I love to be jack of all trades, but you want to be also master in a few areas as well. Okay. Now, a case in point. This is my own personal experience. This is a real story. A real story. A few years ago, this is a story of learning to become a stock trader. Okay, I don't know anything about stock, zero, and I hate actually dealing with money. But this is a story of because my children involved in doing stock trading and so on, so they kind of challenged me to learn about stock trading. I said I don't have time. But then they keep kind of persisting. So I said, okay, never mind. I will learn by my own, on my own. So I went to one platform called Udemy, online platform. I took 4 courses. Of course, we have to pay. I took about 3-4 months to learn on my own because I'm very busy. But finally, I have enough confidence. So I opened the account and I took 2 days leave, and I start to trade. So the first trade, I made 25% profit, and the second and third trade about 11 or 10% profit. Then I stopped. I just want to prove a point that you can learn on your own, learning on demand kind of thing online. So that's a case in point to support how powerful online learning can be. So you can learn just about anything from any platform, from anywhere, if you have the desire to learn that particular skill. So ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about lifelong learning, this is not a new thing. We have during the Islamic civilization, we have many scientists, excellent scientists like Al-Biruni here. He was a polymath. They are not only focused on expert in one area. So Al-Biruni was an anthropologist, also an astronomist, and also a chemist, also a mathematician, also. So these are the kind of just now I mentioned about the life-wide learning, that you are kind of jack of all trades, but also a master of a few areas. This is the kind of talent that we want to develop nowadays in our education system. The polymath, yeah. Now, let me ask you this question, and I don't have any interactive activity because I just want to go through very fast. But let's just answer this on your own. Are you advocating lifelong learning? Let me hear that. Are you advocating lifelong learning? Yeah, should be. Well, I have written a few articles on this, so I would encourage you. Oh, by the way, I'll be giving all the slides that I'm sharing here. I will give you the link to download at the end. Okay. This is my blog article. I would encourage you to just Google this title, then you will get to the blog. I wrote quite a long article about lifelong learning from cradle to grave. Okay, and I share my thought there. So please, get this article and read. And basically, the main message there, if you don't want to read a long article, this is the gist of it. Learning lasts for life, from cradle to grave. And don't stop learning. Once you stop learning, you start dying, according to Albert Einstein. I don't know, Albert Einstein, there are many quotes attributed to him, whether he really said that or not. But when someone of the Albert Einstein stature says something, then we want to take it seriously, right? So maybe they just put Albert Einstein. I don't know whether he's really said it. But anyway, the message is once you stop learning, you start dying. I truly believe this. And I wrote also in the this one, my article in Star, when there's a will to learn. This is actually in response to the news article about the fake dentist just now. So when I read that article, it kind of triggered and triggered me to write this article and send to the Star. When there's a will to learn, basically that's what lifelong learning is about. If you have the will to learn, if you have the passion to learn, nobody force you to learn, because you just love to learn and you want to learn because you want to use that knowledge or you want to just get to know something. So when there's a will to learn, there always a way to learn. And I wrote also another article in my blog. If you are an educator, because we're basically in the context of university education and so on, don't stop learning. Why I wrote this article? Because I found from my observation that many academics, basically they stop reading. They don't read beyond their areas. So this to me really something that I think should not happen. While we are focusing on our area and really be, the expert and the master, we need also to have a broad view on many issues around us, because we don't live in isolation. No man is an island. So therefore, we need to know and be alert of what's going on so that we can have discussion, we can have a good conversation on topics beyond our own specialization. So these are some advice to especially the young academics to, don't stop learning, reading, read, write. That's the mantra, read, write. Write blogs, ladies and gentlemen, just like what I'm doing here, because when you write on areas outside your specialization, it will really broaden your mind, broaden your perspective. Really, you will become, someone that has a kind of a broad view, that you are not kind of confined to a very small perspective. Okay. And another article here, my journey in online education and why I love it so much, because the theme of this conference, I guess, is about online learning. So I'm a strong advocate of online learning. I've been doing this for 26 years now. So I shared my journey in online learning in this long article. Again, another long blog article here. If you wish to read, and just Google the title and you'll get to this article. Here I told a story about how I leverage online education to reach out to learners beyond the physical boundary of the classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear cliques, don't look at your classroom, physical classroom, as a secret garden. Your classroom is actually a secret garden, because what happens in the classroom stay in the classroom. Why should you confine yourself within the small space of the classroom? Leverage online, leverage all the tools that we have, go out there and go global. So I urge everyone here, the main message from this, learn and go global. Teach and go global. All right, lifelong learning, why is it important? So I want to convince all of you here. It is very important to empower people and communities to take control of their destiny and society to face the challenges ahead. Empower people. Knowledge is power. So we want to empower people, empower the society with knowledge. And therefore, to acquire knowledge, we have to learn. That's the bottom line. So why is lifelong learning is important? It's a basic human right. So the SDG 4, education for all, that is championed by UNESCO, quality education. So when education is a basic human right, learning will allow one to develop themselves fully, will empower the individual. Of course, learning also will also provide them with better employment prospects and therefore higher income, hopefully, and also will provide social benefits for the society, for the organization, for the country in terms of productivity, GDP, social capital, and health. So the idea of lifelong learning became a central theme in UNESCO's work with the publication of Learning to Be. This you can actually download and get this full document, UNESCO 1972 Learning to Be, and also other documents, Learning the Treasure Within, the Delos report by UNESCO in 1996. All this can be accessed from the UNESCO website. Very good document. I strongly encourage you to read this. But basically, this also formed the basis of the SDG, especially SDG 4, so Sustainable Development Goal 4, which basically to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. There you are. Lifelong learning is spelled out very clearly, very explicitly in the SDG 4. And I don't know whether you realize or not, we in Malaysia also already have blueprint. Well, Malaysia is very good with having so many blueprints. And we have also one on enculturation of lifelong learning for Malaysia 2011-2020. Have you seen this document? If not, then you can download from the website. But how much do you think what is in the blueprint has been implemented? That probably I'm not able to answer, but let's see. Yeah, and not only in that blueprint, we have also in shift number 3 in our Malaysia Education Blueprint for Higher Education. We have Nation of Lifelong Learning, which basically in shift number 3 it says lifelong learning enables Malaysians to meet the challenging skill needs of a high-income economy and maximizes the potential for individuals who are currently outside the workforce through reskilling and upskilling opportunities. It also enables the development of personal interest and talents for a more fulfilled life. Everything has been spelled out very clearly in this blueprint as well as in the lifelong learning blueprint, ladies and gentlemen. Just get a document and you have everything there. But the blueprint are nice, and we put a lot of man hours in coming up with a blueprint, but there are gaps still, the gaps between the rhetoric of lifelong learning and what really happens in practice. This is a common issue, right? But to me, it is not acceptable when we have that mindset that when come to implementation, nothing much is done. So the gap actually is still wide. I think we need to close up this gap, in order to really realize the aspiration of lifelong learning as spelled out in the document. So, ladies and gentlemen, nurturing a lifelong learning requires a change of mindset. So I will talk a little bit about nurturing a lifelong learning mindset. Learning mindset, the first one, focus on growth. Learning is about growth. Remember the slide just now on the education landscape, from the seed become a small, germinate to become a small plant, then become a bigger plant. So focus on growth. Then become a serial killer. Sorry, not serial killer, I mean serial master. Become a serial master. That's where the life-wide learning is about. Be a master of many things, okay? Jack of all trades and master of many things. Why not? Stretch the limit, okay? Sometimes, we become too comfortable too soon, too fast. We don't want to stretch our limit. We become lazy. We become complacent. Build your personal brand and network through learning. If you think of like this neural network, when we start to learn, we can actually expand the networking through various means. When we share our stuff, when we present, when we write blogs, people start to interact. All this actually creating network. You won't be able to appreciate this if you don't do it. I can appreciate this very much because when I start to write a blog, people start to give comment. When I upload my YouTube or my video on YouTube, that's where you can expand your networking and your knowledge actually spreading out very, very fast. You create that so-called ripple effect on your development journey. Yes, you have total control of how you want to chart the path of your lifelong journey. Everything is in your hand. And this is what I love. When you get up in the morning, remember my question just now? Do you look forward to start the day and indulge in your passion? Do what you love and discover your ikigai, reason for being. And stay vital. Stay vital. When you indulge in your passion, you do what you love, and you love what you do, then you will stay young forever. You stay vital. Okay. So the growth learning mindset, focus on growth. Growth mindset. The book by there's a book by Professor from Stanford. Yeah, the mindset to strive to learn something new each and every moment. I think we need to cultivate this kind of growth mindset in our children right from the beginning. To develop the love for knowledge, the love for books, to read, to write. So this would allow them to grow every day in terms of, the love for the knowledge. So stretch beyond your comfort zone into the learning zone. Most people are now in the green zone, comfort zone. Very comfortable, very complacent. They don't want to step out, or I would say expand the comfort zone, because the learning zone stays outside the peripheral of this comfort zone. So they can step out or expand in many different ways. So learn or lose, it's your choice. So look at learning as an adventure. When we look at learning as an adventure, just like these guys enjoying themselves, on the big motorbike. So when we look at learning as an adventure, we would want to learn every day, every moment. So with learning, effort, exploration, and practice, people can always keep growing. That's what lifelong learning is about, and life-wide learning is about. Learn continuously and learn everything that we can get our hand to. Yeah. So the growth mindset of lifelong learning, in order to cultivate that growth mindset, of course, we need to get our hand dirty. We need, to have a grit, perseverance, persistence, and tenacity. So the growth mindset, do what you love and discover your ikigai, reason for being. So passion-driven learning. It's not that learning forced by anyone, but it's actually driven by our passion to learn. So ladies and gentlemen, ikigai here. The reason you get up in the morning is your ikigai. You look forward to do what you love. You look forward to do what you are passionate about. What you are good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, what you love. So all these are, from the book Learn or Lose. Yeah, you can get this book, Learn or Lose by Nick Van Dam here, talking about ikigai. So what is your ikigai? I'm sure you have the answer. So the new culture of learning, the lifelong learning in the digital age. We talk about online learning, right, in this conference, because technology is there, ubiquitous technology, advancing very fast. We are hyper connected. 5G is around the corner. Everyone, almost everyone now have mobile devices, and the connectivity in Malaysia now stands at about 83%, and soon everyone will be wired, everyone will be connected, and when that happens, we can learn. Everyone can learn anytime, anywhere, and there's a lot of information out there in exabyte information in the small device in your pocket. So there's a learning revolution happening with new learning paradigm and technologies emerging on a daily basis. Learning now become just in time, just enough, and just for me. This is what we call learning on demand. We have a lot of things in the form of open educational resources or OER. So everyone now can be empowered to learn and create their own so-called personal learning ecologies to support their individual learning pathways. Remember when we said that you own your learning. Everyone own their learning. Everyone can chart the course of their own learning and can create their own personal learning ecologies to suit their needs, to suit their interest. And we can find on various platforms. Just now I mentioned I learned about stock trading in 3 months by taking courses on this platform. I took from Udemy, but Skillshare is another one where you can teach the world. Don't you want to teach the world rather than teaching 100 students in your classroom? You have the skill, you have got the skill, you have the knowledge. Why not go online and teach the world? And with the micro credential nowadays, you can take any course and start to collect the digital badge like this one. This is a real Microsoft badge that I get from Microsoft. Yeah, this is not a fake one. Microsoft badges that I get by taking the courses free on their platform. So finally, I want to ask you, what's your role to promote lifelong learning? Every one of us here has the capacity and can play our role, especially we are in the academia, especially we can promote lifelong learning. Okay, not only you become the lifelong learner yourself, that's not good enough. You want to create that ripple effect. Create that ripple effect. If you are a very good true lifelong learner now, that's very good, but get other people also to become a lifelong learner. So there are many ways of become a lifelong learner, to promote lifelong learner. Become a content curator, so you can curate videos, for example, curate videos, create a playlist on YouTube and make it public. Don't make it personal. So I have created hundreds of playlists on YouTube and I share with public. So you can see example of my playlist there. So you play the role there. Create a playlist for your own learning first, then share to the public so that you can spread the knowledge to and share with the public. That's what the ripple effect is about. This is another form of content curation just now using Wakelet as a tool. So I create all this topic actually first for myself because I want to learn about it. So let's say when people talk about Industry 4.0, so I start to curate content on Industry 4.0, then I make it public. So that's what content curation is about. And my Pinterest here is an example of my Pinterest, also made public. So use various media, that you can, this is all about the technology part, the tools that you can use. So I just run through this very quickly, just to make you aware that there are many tools that you can use out there to help you to become a very skillful lifelong learner. Okay. One of my hobby nowadays is to listen to audiobook. So I subscribe to Audible. Audible is from Amazon. So every month I pay the subscription, I will get a few credits. So I use that credit to buy the audiobook. I have a large collection of audiobook now, but of course I have to admit that I don't have time to listen to all yet. And become also an original content creator. Create content, because you want to provide this content to the lifelong learners out there. We have benefited so much from the content created by other people for our own self-learning. So why not now we take turn to create the content for other people around the world? So this is one example, create content through blogging. It's so easy now to create a blog. So my favorite blogging platform now is Medium. And this is an example of my Medium blog. So I would encourage also all of you to start blogging if you have not started. And this is one example of blog publication that I've created. All these are free. All these are free. Anecdotes of academia. So I invite people to write also on this one and share to the public. This is another blog publication I have here: Sustaining Planet Earth, Digital Tools for Productivity. So this is what I do to contribute to promote lifelong learning to the public. My YouTube here through my creating original content on my YouTube channel. And this is the last 3 slides, Prof. Noorsaadah. I hope I'm still on time. This is from, I know you see the name there, Confucius, because I have problem to pronounce his name. So, but he said, by 3 methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is the noblest. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. So I leave you all with this quotes. And finally, my favorite slides, always in all my presentation, without fail, from the late Steve Jobs. Because these words are really very, very powerful if you think about it. Stay hungry. Because if you stay hungry in the context of knowledge, in the context of learning, then if you stay hungry, what you do? You want to eat, right? So if you stay hungry in the context of knowledge and learning, you want to keep on learning. You want to keep on acquire new knowledge. Stay foolish. Stay foolish means, be as crazy as you want. Those scientists who invented technology, Thomas Edison and those people, because they were deemed as crazy in their time. They said, you see that Thomas guy, he's crazy. Because his craziness, he invented the light bulb. So stay foolish, ladies and gentlemen. And from me, always stay strong. Thank you very much. And if you would like to have the slides, you can download. So maybe this is the only slide that you want to take the picture, because the link is there. Feel free to download. And if you notice, in all my slides, almost all my slides, on the right bottom corner, I have that CC-BY, CC-BY. That's actually a Creative Commons license, which simply means that I have given you the permission implicitly or explicitly. So you can use a slide without getting my permission. You can modify the slides. You can remix the slide. And you can even sell the slide. That is CC-BY. You can even sell the slide. With one condition, don't take my name out from the slide. That's what CC-BY is about. Maybe next time I want to make it public domain. When I make it public domain, meaning that you can use as you wish and you don't even have to give the credit to me. So that's what public domain. That would be the best, perhaps the best way to contribute back the knowledge to the world. But the Creative Commons license would be also very, very good. With that, I would like to thank the organizer, ADeC, for inviting me, for having me to share my topic here. And I don't know whether we have a Q&A, because we do. Oh, okay, all right. Yes, okay. Yes, Prof. Okay, go ahead. So we can have a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Prof. Karim, for the insightful sharing. I like how Prof. Karim arranged the narrative of the lecture by preaching to us lecturers first about personalized learning and lifelong learning before getting to how to do it to the students. I really love that point.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Just to the audience, if you see the screen on the right-hand side, you'll see a section where you can type in your question on the right-hand side, ask a question in purple. So all of you are welcome to write the questions that you have for Prof. Karim. We already have a few questions flowing through, and perhaps I can share one or two with Prof. Karim for your thoughts, Prof. Karim?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. we get a few similar questions, particularly on how best to impart the hunger or the urge to go for lifelong learning among our students. So maybe you want to start with that?
Yeah, I think it's very important to always share with the student the importance of lifelong learning. I think we need to convince them and give them examples that, a relevant example of how powerful is knowledge. If someone has, the knowledge mastery on many different areas, especially related to their own subject matter, we can find good example. So if we can find relevant example of the power of knowledge and the power of continuously acquire new knowledge and new skill, then that would convince them. It's all about convincing the student. It's about always kind of keep propounding the ideas of lifelong learning, the importance of read. The power of repeating these 3 times. Read is very powerful, and also get them also to train them also to articulate their ideas in the form of writing as well. So this has to be a continuous endeavor, a continuous process, because to get them register in their mind the importance of learning, not only studying, but learning in the real sense, to internalize the knowledge. Penghayatan tu lah, the penghayatan, the realization, the importance, the appreciation. Yeah, that's the right word. The appreciation of the importance of learning. The mindset need to be corrected first. The mindset of learning. The growth mindset. Yeah, that's another thing that we have to make them understand. Get them to read about growth mindset, how important for them to continue to grow, because learning is about growth. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'd like to touch on your point about ikigai, the reason for being. I guess that's how you stay young, because every day you wake up, you look forward to do things that you love. And in the spirit of personalized learning that the conference is preaching about, this is one way of us to also instill in our students the realization of ikigai, or the reason they have that urge to look for the knowledge and the ilmu that they want to build themselves and along with their passion. However, I have a question from one of the attendees. How do you structure online learning so that we don't have a repeat of YouTube dentists and other quack professionals, so that the public won't be scammed? The liberalization of knowledge will have this holes that people might take advantage of, because things are so free out there. So rather than we don't care about the negative impact of no limit learning, would you like to comment on that, Prof?
We don't have control once we have, once we provide our content out there, of course with a good intention, but in just about anything, people can use or people can abuse anything. Technology start with a good intention, nuclear power, nuclear energy. So people can use it for good cause, or they can abuse it and become atomic bomb. The same for knowledge. So when we provide, let's say, our teaching video on YouTube, we show how to do this, how to do that. We explain the concept, everything, so people can use it for good cause, or people can abuse it, so we don't have a control. But we can also think it this way. If we can learn something and they can get, they can be recognized, they can get some form of recognition of what they have learned. So this is what the new concept of so-called micro-credential comes in. I cannot help but to talk about micro-credential here, because we want to give recognition to even any small piece of learning. I call it any small piece of learning. Even when you watch a 3 minutes video, you still learn something. You can learn a skill or you can learn a concept. But since it's on YouTube, how do you get recognition for that? But you have got that piece of knowledge. You got the skill already. So this is where the micro-credential comes in. So if you make it structured, so this where they can take that module, let's say, from the platform, and then after if they want to get the digital badge as a form of recognition, then they have to complete the assignment, for example, or a small activity or a small project. And then that will be the evidence for the competency. And then they will get the digital badge. And they can display, just like just now I showed a slide where I have my Microsoft digital badge. Those are from actually the recognized, authorized, so-called training provider. So that is one way how we can formalize the thing, even though the learning start with the informal learning, but they can get a formal recognition even for a small bit of learning in the form of digital badge. That's where things are moving now. The world of learning and education is moving towards that direction now. Something that start with informal or non-formal and become formal through the digital badge or micro-credential approach.
Very nice.
I hope that will answer the questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prof. We touched on you mentioned micro-credentials and the acknowledgement that people will get from undergoing this little bits of knowledge and accumulating them into a recognized statement of knowledge or qualification. Yes.
Qualification,
yeah.
This is called a stackable credential. We can stack. We can stack one badge, another badge. We can bundle them together, and it become full qualification in the form of certificate or higher.
Yes.
It can be even a degree. That's how things are evolving now.
Yes. And maybe I should mention to the audience that Prof. Karim is one of the leading persons who champion these micro-credentials in our country, and USM is very lucky to have him. Our very own Prof. Rafiq, who's now with USM, is also very into this. So the trend is looking very bright on micro-credentials, and we should all get into that. So there's a question from a lecturer about these micro-credentials and technology. Maybe I should read it. We like to keep with technology to share the knowledge, but sometimes we don't have the confidence to do it. It is challenging to keep up with the latest technology and sometimes can be frustrating when we couldn't cope. Can you comment on that, Prof?
Well, my advice to that, start small. Start small. A journey of 1,000 miles begin with a step. Yes, you can easily get overwhelmed with technology, and it's moving very fast. So don't play the catch up. If you play the catch up, then you will get tired very fast, exhausted. So do whatever that you can within your means first. Start small. Start creating one video first. Share 3 minutes video on something. Then write a blog. Because doing a video, making a video, and writing a blog is two different things, two different skill set. So you want to expand your skill set slowly, and do that, in a way that you can really master each skill slowly. And I've been doing this for a long time. And I don't think I can catch up also with the technology. But the best part is, if you see on the, I think still on the screen, right? Number 4 there, build your personal brand and network. This is where the networking become very, very powerful. I learned a lot of things from other people as well, and then when I see someone doing something, okay, I keep that in mind. I know that I want to do that as well. So when I have time, then I will do it. And the best part, the best way to learn something is by doing it. So, let's say, okay, I want to do podcast. I want to learn how to do podcast. So I create a podcast. I learn the tool how to create a podcast. Then I want to learn to do something. So slowly, you don't have to force yourself that hard, too hard, because you can get overwhelmed and you can get tired. In the end, maybe you get tired too fast, too soon, then you will stop. You stop. So we don't want to stop. You want to build on that momentum. So do it slowly. Don't get yourself overwhelmed. Cannot hear you, Prof.
That's a really good tip. Start small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start
Thank you,
small.
Prof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Start a baby step. Start a baby step.
Yeah, and maybe the take-home point is the best way to learn is by doing.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
the basic principle that we always tell our lecturers. Get your students to do, because learning is something that the students do, not the lecturers or the teachers do for the student.
Yes, and we realize that we become good at what we do in our field because we have to teach it.
Yeah.
Because we articulate it and we think about it all the time, and we design the learning materials. Whereas the students, on the other hand, they are at the receiving part and they only do certain bits that you ask them to. So
exactly.
you are the expert because you do the thing, right? Yeah.
Because you're right. The best way to learn is to teach.
Yes.
And to teach is to learn twice or maybe more. So that's the best thing. The best way to do is to get the students to do and get them to teach as well. So there's a peer teaching concept. Get them to teach their peers as well. They take our role now to teach their peers. So that's where they start to appreciate and they go deeper into the subject matter.
And perhaps one way to encourage this personalized learning is to let them choose the topic that they are going to teach to their friends, their peer teaching, so that they can get into deeper thoughts about what they are interested in, and that the ripple effect will happen among their friends and our students, the other students in the classroom. Yeah.
Very powerful way actually, because my daughter told me also, because I told her, when you work in group, take the role to teach your friends, because you will find that you will get the understanding of the subject very fast. And he agreed. She agreed. He said, "Wow, that's true, that's true." When he did that.
And sometimes the mistake, or not mistake, because we lecturers tend to become a little bit more mechanical. Okay, we have these 4 or 14 topics. Group 1, take topic number 1. Group 2, take topic number 2, So it becomes very mechanical, and there's no personalized, not much personalization happen there. So perhaps this is one we can think of that I get from your lecture. But the other thing was your M model. If we can go a little bit into that, the breadth of the knowledge that you have on the blue, the horizontal line, and the depth that you learn during your PhD or your master's degree, that's your specialization. The other two deep expertise that you mentioned in the other 2 legs of the M, perhaps you can comment a little bit more on how do you decide, or is it purely by interest or by design, or maybe you can share a little bit more on that, of your understanding about this M model?
It could be by design. It could be also dictated by our own interest. For example, Prof, my area is food technology, right? So in food technology, we have many areas. We have food science, food chemistry, food safety, food security, food processing, food biotechnology, and so on. So if I want to be a really good food technologist or a professor of food technology, I must be able to talk about a lot of things. Not only in my area, which is my PhD was in food engineering, my master's food engineering and my PhD in food technology. But if I don't also explore other areas, so I won't be able to talk about the issues on food security. I won't be able to talk about the issue on, let's say, food safety or food security. So that's why the importance of going broad. But what about the 3 legs here? It doesn't have to be 3, it can be 1, it can be 2, can be 3, can be 4. But this could be, you know, the peripheral kind of area, the peripheral to the main thrust area, core area, or your specialization. So this can be actually 3 strong peripheral area that would support your broad kind of competencies, and this can be directly related, or it can be not directly related, but it can enrich. It kind of enrich your kind of perspective, and this is where in the context of researcher, actually, the sometimes we can get ideas to work on interdisciplinary area when we start to broaden our explore other areas as well. Because initially when we are confined within our tempurung, we don't see, you know. Tapi bila kita start to read and explore other areas, oh, maybe we can do a project where we can involve different areas and so on. So that's why I think the M model, I like the idea of M model especially for the academics.
Thank you so much, Prof. Karim. I think we've reached the end of the session, and I don't see any more new questions coming.
Okay.
We've addressed most of the curiosity of our audience. With that, I'd like to thank you, Prof. Karim, for the insightful keynote speech. And I can surely agree that we have all been inspired to strive toward lifelong and life-wide learning from your talk. So with that, thank you so much. We'll take a 30 minutes break before we move on to our next session. Thank you, Prof. Karim. And our next session will start at 11 a.m. where we will be listening to 4 project presentations from our LITEC grant recipient. We'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. So to those of you on the receiving end, our next session will start at 11 a.m. However, the link will still be the same link that we are on right now. So you don't have to change links. Just let's all take a break for about half an hour and we'll get back together at 11 a.m. Okay. Hi everyone. So welcome back everybody. We will start our first project presentation soon. Before that, let me go through some of the guidelines for our presenters. The presenter will only have 20 minutes to present their project. So this will include the question and answer session. The moderator, which is myself, I will choose and read the questions for the presenters to answer. And for each project, 2 reviewer panels will evaluate the presentation based on the 2 points below. The first one is understanding in the area of teaching and learning presented, the innovation of the project, and the impact to the community and the society. So with that, we will start our first presentation of today from our LITEC recipient, from Dr. Martin Shoma, A01, Language Learning a la carte, developing and implementing a module for personalized learning in the foreign language classroom. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, distinguished participants, professors, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum. Very good morning. First of all, I would like to say many thanks for ADeC and LITEC 2020 to allow us to have the chance conducting our project. Today, I'm going to share some information on our project topic, which is personalized learning in the beginner foreign language classroom. Dilemmas, challenges, and possible solution. Actually, in our foreign language classroom, learning doesn't occur at the same speed and pace for all students. Some students learn fast and are keen to learn more, and the others prefer to learn at a slower pace. This poses a dilemma and a question. How can we reconcile such desperate wants and needs of our students? Personalized learning might offer some solution for us. What is personalized learning actually? Why there is no single widely agreed upon definition. In the essence of personalized learning is to assign to the learner a greater responsibility for and ownership of their learning. This includes the planning, the monitoring, and event of self-assessment. The learner becomes an active agent who makes his or her own choices, decisions, and is able to create affordances in the language learning process. The main aim of personalized learning is to enable the personalization by the learner. It is not by the teacher. We approach some personalized learning as a type of foreign language instruction is that grounded in the students' learning needs that accommodate their learning style and preferences, and that emphasize the learner's active role in and ownership of their learning. In addition, we propose that language learners given as much of their own personal space as possible in their language learning experiences. Personalized learning is less known for the time being, and let's employ approach in the context of teaching foreign languages. There is a lack of literature and study on personalized learning, both in terms of theoretical advancements and empirical investigations. Only recently, some studies on personalized learning in the foreign language classroom has appeared, and they were done in Western countries and mostly at a secondary level of education. Some experts voiced an opinion that personalized learning might not be suitable for our foreign language classroom. There's a reason we realized we would have play by ear to implement our project. We tested the feasibility of personalized learning instruction by a trial and error process in the context of beginner foreign language classroom. Our students were learning one of their languages, Mandarin or Myanmar or Russian in University of Malaya. So the question that guided to us is, first is personalized learning is a variable pedagogical approach in the beginner foreign language classroom at the theory level. That is the main and overarching question for us. Second, what is pedagogical strategy might work when implementing personalized learning in the context of beginner foreign language classroom? What dilemmas and challenges and affordances does personalized learning create for foreign language educators? Our first challenge initially for us was at most complete lack of studies on personalized learning in the face-to-face foreign language instruction. So the solution was to know the learners what's our first step. We conducted a questionnaire survey where students answer to the prompt, I like to learn language, followed by the 21 close-ended statements and some open-ended questions. The answer were given on 4-point Likert scale from not true of me to very much true of me, and analyzed by the simple descriptive statistics analysis. And we found from our survey the most preferred way of learning for our students were we have 8 points from them. So first is to have a clear explanation of the new material. Second is to have opportunity to speak the target language. Third is to pay close attention to details. And fourth is to work in a pleasant environment. Fifth, to be corrected by the teacher. Sixth, to follow the teacher's instruction. 7, to work with classmates. And 8 is to do activities with their classmates. What we found out from survey 2, the least preferred ways are to working alone, or to being given many exercises, or otherwise to doing role play in the classroom. What we found from survey 3, the majority of our students link to learn a new language by watching movies, TV dramas, and video, or otherwise listening the songs in the target language on YouTube, or memorizing new words and phrases they encounter. This information was very useful for us preparing supplementary learning materials to support personalized learning. What we found from survey 4, we discovered that there were some clash between how personalized learning should preferably or be and how our students want to learn a foreign language. This posed some dilemmas, such as among the most preferred way, the student expected a strong preference of the teacher. For example, to correct by the teacher or to follow teacher's instruction. And second is the least preferred way, working alone and being given many exercises did not align with how to of personalized learning. To meet these challenges and solve the dilemmas, we decided to concentrate on two dimensions of the foreign language pedagogy, where we felt and there existed the greatest friction: teacher-led versus students-initiated learning, or group versus individual instruction. So with that, we adopted trial and error approach. From our experience gained from our project, among practical and workable know-hows or implementing personalized learning, we would propose the following know-how. We have 8 know-hows here too. And first is when introducing a new topic and grammar, being the class with providing detailed explanation and giving sufficient example to the whole class. Follow this by doing a few exercises together with the whole group of the students. From that, the response to the student need to have a clear explanation of new materials. Second is to set the vocabularies, must-know-how items to be memorized by each and every student. At the same time, encourage the student expand this minimum by learning additional words or expression aligned with their personal interests. For that, the response to the students' psychological needs for having the teacher guidance, and the third is to prepare a variety of exercises ranging from easy to challenging beyond the textbook. The student can work on them alone or otherwise in pairs or in a small group. The important issue is to set at the minimum number of exercises to be done by each student. Check the work, the process, provide personal feedback to each student. Then the student learn their own pace, which is one of the main features of personalized learning. They acquire some ownership of their learning by having freedom to select the type of exercises. And the student who learn faster can have more difficult exercises and thus get the chance to learn more with the help from the teacher. Then to share the internet links to miscellaneous audio or videos materials. These should include songs, short movies, clips, advertisements, cooking videos, and many types of platforms. These resources must be able to attract the language learners' interest and at the same time have suitable linguistic content. From this, respond to the preference to learn from watching videos and listening to the songs. There is some teacher guidance and students have initiative of their learning. The important issue is the reason the tree for introducing personalized learning. The students who want to learn more and who learn faster than their peers would have more learning options and not feel restricted in their progress by the slower classroom proceedings. Then another fact is each student develop a short speech, narrative, conversation on the study topic. For example, introducing oneself or my family as their class work and make their audio recording. The student can work alone or with the classmates, inside or outside from the classroom. The condition we give, the audio recording must be submitted during or within a certain time of after the class. The teacher also provided the individual oral feedback to each student. From that, each and every student has opportunity to speak in the target language. This responds to the preference to have opportunities to speak the target language, which regrettably often cannot be achieved in their ordinary classroom proceedings. The language learner can learn at their own pace, beyond their class time and in their pre-for work mood, and receiving the teacher's feedback correspond to their preference to be corrected by the teacher. Then introduce learn and teach session. Each students appear short PowerPoint presentation. For example, I, me, and myself or my family. Before presenting, the students introduce new vocabulary, he or she included in the slides, and give some short examples. From that, the student acquire a greater ownership and initiative of their learning. They can develop personalized vocabularies, assuming the role of the teachers, and hence the students' sense of responsibility for their own second language learning. Then, to make the learning environment pleasant, we need to provide a variety of choices for organizing the classroom proceedings. For example, students can do their work outside of the classroom, or in the faculty garden, or in the canteen, and so on. However,
Tama, you have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. Yeah. So for this response to the students' psychological need for having a pleasant learning environment, then they can have a greater control and the freedom. So let me move on a little bit. I skipped some of the points. So at the end of the semester, the students select their daily life topic based on their own interests. The outcomes of personalized learning activities is recorded conversation or a narrative in the target language. For example, shopping in the Chinese grocery store and so on. From that, the student can seek more opportunities to speak in the target language. The students have full freedom to design their own personalized activities. So, to conclude all our findings here, introducing and participating personalized learning in the beginner foreign language classroom. Initially, quite a daunting perspective. There is no literature to guide us. There are opinions that personalized learning is not suitable for the foreign language classroom. Our own student learning preference did not fully support our agendas for personalized learning, but we are curious and determined enough to test the novel pedagogical approach. Finally, we can give an answer to the first question that guided our endeavor. Our first question is personalized learning a viable pedagogical approach in the beginner foreign language classroom at the tertiary level. Yeah. So we have discovered that personalized learning is not only viable but desirable and enriching. pedagogical approach in the context of beginner foreign language classroom. It should be noted that playing by ear and trial and error approach was supported by systematic and well-informed action. They were possible due to survey we conducted to learn more about our student learning style. Then we feel that our pedagogical endeavor give our students a greater initiative and ownership of their learning and enable some personalized learning. The dilemmas and challenges that we have encountered may sound familiar to many foreign language educators, considering the scarcity of the literature on personalized learning in the foreign language classroom. We hope that language educators would find approach and strategy that we have shared useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ma. Thank you so much for your sharing and the tips. I'm sure a lot of us can make use of that findings from your research. So thank you so much. We will move to, because of 20 minutes have reached, we will move to our next presentation. Thank you, Dr. Ma.
Thank you very much, Dada.
Thank you. Our next session, A02, Enhancing Students' Critical Thinking Skills Through Gamification, a case study from a critical thinking course in university, from Dr. Noorsaadah. May I welcome Dr. Noorsaadah?
Can you see us? All right. Okay, I still try to share my slide. Hold on.
Can you share again? We saw it just now.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Does it work now? Okay. Does it work?
Not yet. Okay, yes.
All right. So, Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. So, today we'll be presenting our research on enhancing students' critical thinking skills through gamification, a case study from critical thinking course in university. There are two presenters today. It's me, Dr. Rahim, and Dr. Noorsaadah. I will start first by giving a bit of introduction. So, firstly, I'm just going to give a bit of comparison between conventional learning and personalized learning. As we all know, in conventional learning, the setting is teacher-centered, where the teacher holds all the information and the student will be passively receive it, and the course material is predetermined, and it's basically use a generic model where one size fits for all. Somehow it does not account for students' preferences and students' unique characters. In conclusion, somewhat it has been perceived as ineffective and boring. Whereas in personalized learning, teachers' role is to guide in collaborative and interactive setting, rather than being teacher-centered in the conventional learning. Personalized learning emphasizes on student role, where student can be independent, where they can search sources and experts online, and when they search, they have all the powers lies on them, where they can focus on their own interests and their personal goals. So in our study, we are looking at personalized learning through gamification. So what is gamification? It is basically game elements in the learning process. It is important not to be confused with the digital game-based learning, where it uses game in the learning. You build an educational game and use that game in the lesson, but in gamification, the whole lesson is actually a game. So you integrate game elements in the learning process. An example, so this game main element are rewards, leaderships, scoreboard, It aims to create competition between two different parties and learn through the competition. It also tries to change the learning materials and activities into a playful experience. So with this gamification, we somehow aim to cater the issue that conventional learning has, such as unable to cater different preferences or different unique interests. So with gamification, students who love to study, who love to learn through games and experiential learning, they can enjoy this learning experience. So question, why gamification? First of all, it is easy and attractive, and as we all know, this current generation, they are more into games, they are more hands-on generation. It also, gamification in the literature has shown that it increase the interaction between educators, students, and students, because there is an interaction through the games, rather than having a boring class where all the lecturers taking in charge of keeping all the information. The students can get involved. It also aligns with the Malaysia education blueprint, with the current one. It also helps students in socializing and increase their social network. As I said, it increases the interaction between students and educators, and also among the students. It encourages learning activities, increase learning engagement, and also improve students' cognitive skills. So our research objective is firstly to enhance students' critical thinking skills through gamification in learning. Second is to study students' perception on gamification in learning. And our research questions are: how gamification enhances students' critical thinking skills in learning, and how does students perceive gamification in learning? So I'll pass the presentation to Dr. Aisha.
All right. Okay, this is the interesting part. Our case study is about gamification in philosophy course. Philosophy course to students with science background. And all of the students or participants are enrolled in one faculty subject, that is logic and critical thinking. Okay, these are our sampling. There are university students aged between 19 to 23 years old, about 390 students for the class, and it is purposive sampling. And as I said, all of the students have been enrolled in a philosophy course, that is logic and critical thinking course, and this course is actually a faculty selective course. And all of the students has access to the internet, and they have gadget to access the internet, either laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. Because gamification, for this study, we use this gadget to do some gamified learning. And this is the research design in week 3, that is after add and drop week. All of the students have been given pre-test, that is Malaysian Critical Thinking Instrument version 6, Active 6. And after that, starting from week 4 until week 13, the gamified learning has been used to the students, in the class. And this type of learning, the gamification, is a mixture of online and offline and online gamification, and I will explain this later. And then in week 14, there is a study week for the students, and all of the lectures has ended. And then researcher has give the students the post test of the same test, Malaysian Critical Thinking Instrument version 6, to see whether these students has somehow enhanced their critical thinking skills in the lesson. All right, this is the learning, the lesson. Firstly, in week 3, numbers were assigned to all students. So as you can see, from the first step they got into the class, they actually has involved in the gamification. They have been the players. They themselves has been the players in the lessons. And numbers, researcher used these numbers from the students' list. from course portal provided by the university. And then all of the students created their avatar, that is the virtual identity in online gamification. And they use their metric number as ID, just for the emoji or whatever image they want to show in the leaderboard. And then throughout the gamification learning, the gamification process, top 10 of leaderboard in the leaderboard gets immunity. Immunity, that means that okay, whenever in the class, researcher will ask some question, whether a question or maybe researcher needs students to give some examples according to topic that is discussed at that time. So this top 10 of the leaderboard gets to choose not to answer the question that has been asked by the lecturer and pass it to the other classmate. And that is the offline gamification. And the online, we also do online quiz. We use quizzes, and this platform, we use it during lesson, that means in the class, and also as homework for the students. Normally, we give the quiz based on the topic that has been discussed or are going to be discussed during the lessons. And each quiz has 10 to 20 questions at a time. This type of online quiz also has helped us in flipped learning, because we can assign the homework or home quiz prior lecture, and because of that, we are able to do the revision during lecture on the most incorrect answers. That means, if, as you know, in quizzes, for example, we can see the percentage of students who have answered correctly in each question. So, for example, if we see that question number 1, 80% gets incorrect answer, so we need to revise that particular subtopic in the classroom. And then we have seen that throughout the learning process, we managed to increase the attention and satisfaction in learning, because students they actually ask us, where's the quiz? So they always match each topic with quiz. So if we don't give them quiz, they will ask for it, because it is fun for them, for the lesson. And this is the test or test instrument that has been used for this study, the Malaysian critical thinking instrument version 6. Why we use this test? Because this test has been developed by local researcher with local context. Because this Dr. Akbaria has taken into account the culture of the testers, I mean all the participants, before designing the test. So it is based on the conceptualization of the Malaysian society critical thinking model, namely the Akbar critical thinking model. So this test measure 4 cognitive skill areas, that is cognitive complexity, thinking disposition, metacognition, and also conscience. But for this study, we only look at cognitive, metacognitive, and conscience. And the tech analysis has been, we have used Rush measure for the tech analysis. Level of difficulty, critical each item has been considered for the tech analysis. For this test, it has Form A, Form B, and Form C. Form A tests students in terms of cognitive skills. It has 78 items and use scale of 0 to 100%. While Form B, it tests metacognition of the students. It has 19 items, use Likert scale 1 to 5, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And Form C, on the conscience, it has 36 items, which using scale of 0 to 100%. And these are the results for cognitive, metacognition and also conscience. As you can see, there are a sort of a significant difference in the post-test for metacognition and also cognitive, but not for the conscience. Why? I will tell you after this. Okay, because for the conscience, we have not emphasized on the topic during the course. The emphasis has been given greatly in terms of metacognitive and cognitive, and it shows in the results, students' result. Actually, for the metacognition in the course, students has demonstrated a mediocre level of metacognitive. And this is on the perception of gamification by the students. After the learning process has ended, we get feedback from the students. 90.1% thinks that the gamification made the class more interesting. They like the way the class has been conducted, and 78% perceive that gamification increased the interaction between students and lecturers, and it has been a very dynamic lesson and also engagement between lecturer and students. And lastly, 78% thinks that gamification helped them to understand the subject easily. As I said, it helped us in conducting flipped learning during our lesson. And lastly, the conclusion, as I said, most students agree that gamification has helped them focus in class learning. They always engage in the topic and ask for quiz right after the topic has ended. And they feel disappointed when no quiz given to them. They like to play. They like to see their avatar on top of the leaderboard. That shows that students prefer more exercise for the subject as it helps them in understanding on the topics. It sort of tests their understanding. And educator needs to embed online and offline. If you wanna do this gamification approach or pedagogy, you need to embed online and offline type of gamification, because firstly, it gives varieties to your lesson, and secondly, there is contingency plans if there's no internet connection at the time. And there are two downsides for online. Some of the time, students left their mobile phone or laptop at home, and their gadget has no battery. So you need to be ready for the offline gamified learning. And then another one is educator needs to prepare early for materials prior each class, because each quiz need to be designed early according to topic or prior before the topic is discussed in the class. Okay, for the impact to the community and society, as you know, nowadays we are dealing with COVID-19, so most classes are online. And this type of gamification, especially online gamification, is good tools to interact with students in a fun way. And this will be the new norm in learning, where students can learn with their own pace. So you can do the live quiz, or you can make it as homework. So it sort of is not too rigid or strict. So it will be the lesson, especially philosophy lesson, it will be so boring if you're not interact with students and asking student question. This will be another platform or approach that is fun to be used. And these are our references for this slide for our presentation. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Aisha and Dr. Aini. We will gather the question and answer session towards the end of the whole session. We listen from all the speakers for now, but I really like and inspired I'm really inspired by the gamification process and how lecturers can adopt this. We will really like to learn more from you.
Inshallah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your sharing. We will move on now, to our third presenter, A03. is by Dr. Mi Li Lui, Multiple Intelligence in Personalized Teaching and Learning Strategies. Please welcome Dr. Mi.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Before I start, can I check whether everyone can see my slide?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thanks again for ADeC for this session. It is a great pleasure for me to present our projects here. So I would like to represent my group from Department of Biomedical Science, Faculty of Medicine, on this project that we have carried out in our Year 1 students for 2019 and 2020 intake. So our project is on the multiple intelligence in personalized teaching and learning strategy. So before I start, maybe it's good to take a look of this personalized teaching and learning. What is personalized education? So when we talk about personalized, meaning we need to customize how we can actually customize the education for our students. So when we talk about personalized teaching and learning, we would like to actually customize something for our students based on their strength, their needs, skills, and also interests. But how we could actually make it happen? What kind of mechanism that we should use for personalized education, and to make sure not everyone, not leaving anyone behind. So first, maybe we can recall our experience in our teaching. So many of us may have experience that some of the students may not be able to understand what you have delivered, but somehow when you change the way of delivering the information, you found students be able to grasp the information. So why it is so? So now we go back to the theory of this multiple intelligence. So what is this multiple intelligence theory that developed by Dr. Garner? It's about human. Every human have different type of intelligence, and it is not only limited to IQ, you know. So for each, for this kind of human intelligence, people would tend to have different way of processing information. Under theory of developed by Dr. Garner, we have 8 different type of multiple intelligence. So first of all, look into this verbal intelligence, or we call it as word smart. This kind of people, they tend to very good in verbal communication, and they have very good or strong memory. For logical multiple intelligence, this kind of people, we call it as number smart, or we call it reasoning smart. So this kind of people tend to be very good in problem solving and also reasoning. People with naturalist intelligence, usually those people who appreciate outdoors or hands-on experience. These people are very observant and empathy. And we have people also with bodily intelligence, or we call it as kinesthetic intelligence. And this kind of people, we call it as body smart. So they tend to use their body movement for self-expression. They also prefer to have hands-on activity and also physical learning. And another kind of multiple intelligence is the musical. And these people tend to, we call it as music smart, because they're usually easy to recognize the sound and also tone. And they have the musical capability. We also have interpersonal intelligence. So interpersonal intelligence, we call it as people smart. So these people are very good in management and leadership. So they like to be in a social setting. And how about intrapersonal? This kind of people will be opposite of interpersonal, in which they are self-smart. So meaning they are individualistic, but not saying that not good, but they would actually have their goal, and they like to prioritize their personal goal and mental and also emotional health. So they know how to care of themselves. So the last group of the intelligence is the visual intelligence. These people, we call them picture smart, because they are very creative and imaginative, and they will appreciate the image, also sensation. So we know that different people may have different type of multiple intelligence. So and that's why we would like to develop a teaching strategies in which we could try to enhance the student learning experience, and also whether or not we want to see by having this kind of multiple intelligence based teaching strategy, it would not only enhance the and whether or not it acquisition of knowledge. So in this study, actually we try to get some feedback from the students on their experience based on the strategies that we have implemented during the semester. And also we observe the performance by looking at the grade performance of the students after the changes that we have made. So that would deliver whether or not it will improve the acquisition of the knowledge of the students. So first thing, we need to know our learner first. So the first thing we did was the identify their multiple intelligence in every student. So we actually tested this in our first year students in 2019-2020 intake. And after knowing their intelligence profile, then we have a brainstorming session in which we actually discuss about what type of teaching strategy will be good for this batch of students. Then we pick one subject from our semester one, and we only take one component of the assessment in which we use this teaching and also assessment strategies for different intelligence for this assignment, and see how they actually feel about the how the student feel about the assignment and overall experience. Then in semester 2, because of the MCO, we managed to actually carry out the whole plan online. So I think we take advantage of this MCO. So we implement it in Sem 2, which is the semester just over, that then we see the performance of our students. So first thing I would like to present this is the overall profile of our students' multiple intelligence. So for first year, if you look at here, of all these 8 groups of multiple intelligence, we found that our students are quite strong in most of the multiple intelligence except verbal. So meaning that we know that if we are going to set an assignment which a student need to present orally, they may not be able to perform well. So we would try to, not saying to totally avoid it, but we would like to focus more on other intelligence. So here we see that this student may be more towards intrapersonal, in which they are more self-aware, and they're also very good in mathematics, maybe, because most of them propose this logical intelligence. So after we know the profile of our students, now we actually come up with different strategy in which we can use for different group of the multiple intelligence. So for example, here we have came up with a few items that we can use for our teaching strategy, as our teaching strategy. For example, for those students who are very good in verbal, maybe we can set a debate session, brainstorming session, or maybe oral presentation. But in this group of students, as we see from the results, maybe that may not be a good idea for this. So move on. This group of students is they are very good in mathematics or very good in logical intelligence. So what we can do here, maybe we could set some calculation, classification kind of activities, or Socratic questioning kind of activities for this group of students. And we also have students with which are naturalists. So maybe hands-on activity will be good for not only for naturalists, and also we can also use the same approach, hands-on activities for bodily or smart students. Musical audio program, also mixture or melody, maybe we can use in our teaching strategies. So we also have students which are good in interpersonal. So I think group work will work well in this group of students. And of course, for interpersonal reflection kind of session will be good also. For visual and spatial intelligence, we think that some activities like setting up animation and also video presentation together with graphic and also picture presentation would be good for this group of students. So after having this idea, then we actually came up with the an assignment in semester 1 in which we are asking the students to actually produce a music video. In this music video, students will be assessed in terms of the content delivery and also the creativity and also the group work. So how we actually do it is that we pick one assignment in the cell biology course and we make it a group project, make it as a group project. So in this group, this is a real example in which in this group we have 5 students. And every student proposed a different type of multiple intelligence. So based on their profile, we as a lecturer, we actually assign them in a group. So hoping that they can actually help each other in this assignment. Because if we don't know their multiple intelligence and we randomly assign them, they may end up having a gap in between in which they may not be able to deliver. And for this multiple intelligence approach, right, is not only help to empower the full range of the personal intelligence, but in this theory, in this multiple intelligence theory, it also saying that by grouping different people in a group, the student with certain strength may be empowered, okay? But those who are very weak, they may actually have the potential to develop, and it's a way to unearth a learner's potential while developing their weak intelligence. So in this way, knowing their multiple intelligence, we group them based on different intelligence. Then we came up with the assignment in which the student need to produce a music video about cells. So I have the video as an example. So this group of students be able to actually change some content relevant to cells. So they learn about theory, they learn about manage to sing, and by singing they may be able to memorize the content.
Dr. Louis, we can't hear. Is there a music that we should hear?
So they use the nursery song and then they change the content into science-related content, and then they sing it out, they prepare a video. So after the assignment, we actually ask the student about their experience. So if you can see here, the blue color and also the turquoise color represent the strongly agree and agree percentage. So if you look at the feedback from the students based on the experience that they have, they actually found that they notice they have different types of people with specific skill in their group. And they also manage to learn from their team members by having the group. And the next question we actually asked, whether or not the assignment would be able to increase their ability to collaborate and also work in a group, and majority of them, they agree with that. And they would actually happy to work in the same group in future. And surprisingly, not everyone actually having the musical intelligence, but when we are letting them to do the music video assignment, majority of them actually like it, and then they feel enjoyable. So we know that by putting them with different multiple intelligence background into the same group and work on a project, it works. So in the coming semester, which is in semester 2, we actually use the strategy in the epidemiology and biostatistics course. So before I go into the changes, maybe have a look with the course learning outcome of this course. It's quite straightforward. Students need to know about the concept, about the application, and know how to or demonstrate the application. So the previous semesters, the assessment plan for this course is 50% written test and 50% final exam. So this is a very conventional or traditional paper and pen approach. So if a student is not good in expressing themselves in written form, they may not be able to perform well. So before I go into the changes, maybe have a look with the performance first. This is the performance at the end of this semester, semester 2. So semester 2 is the purple bar, and previous semester for the same course is represented in the green bar. So we can see here the performance of our students in the current semester after we have all these changes are better than the previous semester, and many of them actually get A and A-. So what are the changes that we have done? So previous semester, as I mentioned earlier, we have 50% written test and 50% final exam. But for the recent semester, we actually make changes in which we have allocated 40% of the assessment for the assignment. So what kind of assignment that we are actually doing? We are not only like giving the assignment, but we make sure we have variety of assignment that cater for different group of intelligence. So in order to deliver our content, we are, because of the MCO, we have pre-recorded lecture videos. Not only that, there is a quite standard way of delivering. We also have the synchronized discussion session. We have also online demonstration session for the students, which cater for the group of visual smart and also word smart kind of students. And we also have portion of our assignment allocated for the calculation kind of exercises. And we allow the student to have some hands-on experience by giving them the access to the software. And we also give them the real-life example by plugging the articles from the PubMed and let the student evaluate and also critically review the papers and then answer to the questions. And we put them in group first and let them familiarize with the assignments pattern. Afterwards, only then we put them in individual assignment, hoping that they can now learn how to answer the similar questions that they have practiced before. So what is the reason we actually have this multiple intelligence? Not only that, we can also use the technology to support the multiple intelligence, knowing that the fact that technology not only can help us in content delivery, we can also create a virtual learning environment and also having a problem-based learning kind of approach for our students. And we can also get our students active to participate in the classroom activities. And here we actually summarize some of the platform that you may use in different reasons. And same platform you can actually use for different type of the intelligence as presented in these slides. So at the end, what we'd like to conclude here is that flexibility and variety are the keys to personalized teaching and learning. By having the flexibility and variety, a student can actually have the timely access to the information. Not only that, students' different intelligence will be valued and appreciated, and they are given the chance to express themselves. And with that, they have the feel of a sense of they can feel a sense of connections and also belonging. With that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lui. Thank you so much. Well done. Yes, it's a nice take to multiple intelligence for the students. Meaning, I believe the students really appreciate that you took the time and effort to understand them before doing the class and providing the assignments. We will keep all the question and answer session towards the end of the whole session. So the next one, we will listen from Dr. Chu Hock Tan, A04, Learning Pharmacokinetics through a Personalized Learning Approach. So we welcome you, Dr. Chu.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. All right. My topic today is on learning pharmacokinetics through a personalized learning approach. So I am Dr. Tan Chu Hock. I'm from the Department of Pharmacology, Faculty of Medicine. And together with me in the same team, we have Dr. Elsa Hanifa from the same department as well. Both of us are medical doctors and also PhD, pharmacologists. Okay. So before I start into the learning and teaching experience, I would like to just share a little bit about the topic of pharmacokinetics. Yeah. So pharmacokinetics is basically the study of the fate of a drug or substance that enter the body of a living organism upon its administration. Now, in simple word, yeah, in layman term, is what your body does to the drug. Okay, so it is easy for most people to understand that when you take a medicine or a drug, yeah, okay, a medicine, you want the medicine to do something good to your body, which means if you have fever, it helps you to get rid of the fever. If you have infection, it helps you to overcome the infection. Okay, so that is what drug does to our body. But you may also want to remember that at the same time, your body will do something to the drug. Yeah? And this whole process is very complicated, very complex, and what we call it is pharmacokinetics. Okay. So pharmacokinetics, therefore, it is a very important discipline or a knowledge to be learned by future doctors. Yeah, okay. So in medical curriculum throughout the world, pharmacokinetics is a must-learn subject. All right, because it is essential to make sure that these doctors they will be able to use medicine in an effective and safe manner. Yeah, so we are emphasizing on two things. Yeah, one is efficacy. So you want to make sure the medicine that's given to the patient is safe, is effective, yeah, and at the same time being safe as well. So the two very important components for the drug to be safe and also effective depends on knowledge about how to sort of play around with the drug. Yeah, so it includes what type of medications should be chosen, and then the route of administration, whether you need to swallow it, you need an injection or something like that. And also the dosages as well, yeah, okay? Like children, what's the dosage? Pregnant woman, what's the dosage? Adult, old people, what kind of dosage is this? And it's not just like that. You have to also learn about the knowledge of how to monitor whether the drug is being effective and being safe as well throughout the treatment, yeah, okay? And added to that is that it has to be personalized, just like learning. So medicine, you have to personalize as well, because each and every one of us is different. The dosage works for me may not be functional for you, yeah, or it can be actually dangerous for certain people. So personalized medicine is important. Now, but when we look at how pharmacokinetics is taught in almost all medical curricula, Now, it is usually taught, of course, start right from year 1, yeah, because it is very important. So we emphasize that we start that in year 1 when the students just came into the medical school. But it is usually didactic method, yeah, taught by lectures. And what I'm showing you here is some of the very typical concept or typical impression of people about pharmacokinetics. You have a lot of models, mathematical models, a lot of equations, a lot of imagination is needed. And so what usually the message that we got from people is that this is so hard. The student complain that it is so abstract. You know, from preschool or from A-level or STPM or matrix, they get away from physics and chemistry. They thought of mathematics. They thought that, okay, fine, I like biology, so I was just dealing with all the tissues, cells, animals, or whatever. But when they see all these things, then they get very frightened of, yeah. And especially we emphasize on the need to apply pharmacokinetics concept in clinical context, yeah, in clinical cases and so on. So that makes it very difficult for the students. Therefore, we identify the problems, yeah, through our formal and informal feedback from the students that the problems with our recent, I mean, not recent, but throughout all these years, pharmacokinetics teaching is that we have very limited time, yeah, for pharmacokinetics. There's only 2 hours lecture and 1 hour tutorial. Yeah, okay. So 2-hour lectures plus 1 hour tutorial, a total of 3 hours, but they need to learn something about life and death for a drug to be effective, for a drug to be safe. So they say it's not enough, and there are so many abstract things for them to understand and imagine. And even within the tutorial, okay, we usually try to give something like problem-solving session. We give them some questions to discuss, and then we'll try to answer their queries and so on. But because it is only 1 hour and the question is a little bit not so well structured in line with the clinical context, so they also complain that it is not so useful for them. Yeah, okay. And of course, there's also limited learning space. We have about 170 over students, medical students in year 1. So it's usually done in the big class kind of lecture, and even tutorial also, we have to also sort of usually a big class as well. So that actually brings in a lot of problems when to help students to understand the topic. Therefore, we think that maybe we should use some innovation, yeah, in teaching pharmacokinetics. We cannot rely on the usual typical didactic way. One of the ways that we think about is instructional design, or the IDeC approach, yeah, where it depends on the 4 elements, where you have personalized learning by thoughtful instructional design, which emphasize a lot of the digital citizenship. That's what everyone doing now, you know, everything's going digital. And then that will help to the learning to become more seamless. And then we make sure that the learners are well engaged, and the content also will be learner orientated, yeah, and together with assessment and feedback. Then of course the assessment and feedback is important, and then we also bring in the ADeC model, yeah, which is analyze, design, develop, evaluate. And then one thing flexible about this IDeC approach is that we can assess and adjust the teaching anytime. Yeah? So it is not just confined to the so-called 2 hours lecture and 1 hour tutorial. We can actually help the students to facilitate their learning throughout the cohort or throughout the year. Okay. So these are some explanation which I've covered just now. And another perspective that we would like to share is the social constructivist theory. So this is when then you know we base it on the principles that knowledge is constructed through interactiveness, interactive human activity. Yeah, and individuals create meaning through their interactions. And at this age of time, you know, with MCO or no MCO, actually social media and blog is the trend to go. And the use of media like WordPress or whatever actually is not really that expensive, but they are good resources, yeah, to be incorporated to encourage the students' learning in a personalized way, yeah, where you can actually include various components like quizzes, videos, interactive graphics, and even forums, yeah, on online forums and discussion throughout the flexible period of time for their learning. Okay. All right, so you will see that we actually use some, we start small with the use of WordPress as a platform to promote the knowledge networking among these students. And then we slowly then added in additional resources, including quizzes, videos, interactive graphics, etc., especially to help those who have difficulty in imagination, yeah? Imagining all the mathematical models, the equations, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the aims basically is to incorporate personalized learning elements in the teaching of pharmacokinetics to our year 1 medical students. And after that, we also try to assess the effectiveness of the personalized learning experience in improving the understanding of pharmacokinetics in our students. Now the methods, basically, we start with lecture 2 hours. Now you see that we still have lecture because we cannot get away with this. This is already in the structure, our medical curriculum syllabus. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, the lecture is still the same there. Then what we did is we have a pre-test after the lecture. The pre-test takes in the form of MCQ, yeah, true false method, true false statement, and the student have to answer it in 10 minutes. Okay, after the lecture, we do the pre-test. The pre-test consists of 35 items to test on the students' basic understanding about the principle. Okay, and then after that, we take that results to reflect on, to look at, you know, what domain or which area is their weakness, and then we modify our tutorial content accordingly. So we have tutorial for small group or small class teaching. Then we call it PKCBL, which is basically means pharmacokinetic with clinical based learning components, clinical or case-based learning, clinical cases, because as I said just now, students also say that they have difficulty to incorporate pharmacokinetics with clinical practice. So we bring in clinical-based cases into the tutorials to enrich the content. Yeah. So after that, we give them the feedback through the small group or small class of tutorials. And further then, after that, we have the pharmacokinetics e-learning webpage. We are using WordPress at the moment. So we have put in a lot of resources there that includes various videos, graphics, and also mini lectures and so on. And along with that, there's also quizzes and clinical application examples. Yeah? And then throughout the years, then they have actually just set for their final exam recently. And we also take a post-test, yeah, a post-test at that time to look at whether they are able to get a better outcome or improvement of the pharmacokinetics knowledge following this so-called IP, a personalized approach or personalized learning. So just to share with you some of the things, the learning objective is like that. This is already fixed at the curriculum. We can't modify it, but it's actually very intensive, very, very extensive and intensive. And things like, you know, self-directed learning, PBL and things like that may work to some extent, but without proper guidance and interactiveness between the teachers and the students, they may go sesat, because it's so abstract. Yeah? So if they just do self-directed learning, very likely they will end up, they lose the correct understanding. Yeah. So we have two two lectures, and then the usual lectures is given. Then we have the pre-test. Okay, so the marks is 35, so the average is about 22, but there are almost like 40% or so falls below the passing, which we set at about 18. Yeah? Okay, 18. So we are thinking of how to improve this overall understanding. Now, then we follow by the clinical case-based tutorial, as I said. So we actually divide them into small groups, 10 groups of them, instead of a whole big groups. And then we utilize all pharmacologists in the department, assign one to take care of each group. And before that, we give concise briefing to all the tutors, so they know exactly how to do this approach. Then we carry out the tutorial with continuous feedback. And this is the e-learning webpage. You can access this. This is how it looks like, but you will see that the various components in it, that's quite extensive. You have the glossary with the cartoons and so on to help them to grasp the understanding of the definition. And then we have the formulas, and then we have the videos and some graphic. And here, test yourself. We actually have some quizzes as well. So the cases that we put up there for their interactive learning. For example, this one is about the use of the route of administration, how to give an antibiotics and so on, and how to monitor it, for example. Yeah, and then we have various cases, like for example, this is why a certain medicine is not working for certain patients, and what would be the precaution to be taken in certain group of patients, for example, like pregnancy and so on. Okay. Then we have other cases which could be because of the different genetic profiles of the patients. Therefore, you need personalized medicines. Okay. So we also bring that into this context, in the context of personalized learning. Okay, so quizzes, we have also set up quizzes in the website, so students can go in and then they can do this to test the understanding of the topics throughout the years. Yeah, the quizzes, sometimes we have update the quizzes, we have new quizzes and so on. And the good thing about this is they can always contact us. Yeah, okay, and then we will give them the feedback immediately. Yeah, okay. So this is some feedback from people. And we recently also done the protest. You can see that, let me just show you this one. Okay, this is a comparison between the pre and post. It is obviously moved to the right, okay, so which means there's an improvement in the overall, what you say that, the score, yeah, okay, the average score actually improved. But of course, we still have a little bit concerned about some of the students. They seem to be like fall below the par. We are actually getting them to come to us, and then we will try to find out, okay, what is their problems at this stage. They are still not very sure about certain topics under pharmacokinetics, and then we will try to do even a micro personalized kind of guidance to these students. So I think this will help us to pick up also like what students may need further further treatment, not to say treatment, but further help, okay, guidance beyond this level. Okay, so in conclusion, again, pharmacokinetics is important topics for all doctors, but it is very abstract and it is difficult. Yeah, okay. So a personalized learning approach, therefore, is very much needed. We retain lecture, despite many people say, oh, let's just do PBL or SDL and so on, but lecture, we still need it, but we need innovations, okay? So the innovations that we brought in, to considering that, students have difficulty individually to understand pharmacokinetics, is that we try to give them good tutorials, small group tutorials, and then where we emphasis on this, put on the clinical cases, the clinical applications, and then we also establish the e-learning platform So with a lot of videos, e-lectures, and then quizzes, case discussion, application, Wiki forum, and so on. We put that all in, okay? And then along with this, we monitor with the pre and post test, and then the continuous feedback and so on. So at the moment, of course, the data is still coming in, and then we're still analyzing, but the outcome seems to be encouraging. And I think this will be a promising approach to continue in teaching pharmacokinetics to medical students in the following cohorts. Yeah. So with that, I would like to thank you, and a special acknowledgement to the LITEC grant, to ADeC, to our faculty, Vaccine, all start from Department of Pharmacology, and then Modeule, which is a medical education center in our university, in our faculty, and definitely all the students. This is a pilot batch of what we're trying, but we will be using or applying this method in the following cohort as well. Okay, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tan.
Thanks.
Thank you. We can see that you are a really passionate lecturer.
Really?
It transcends the online version of your lecture. I think we can, coming from non-medical background, we can all in ADeC understand at least what pharmacokinetics is. It's what the body does to the drug. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, I'm sure your students learn a lot from you and enjoy your lecture sessions as well. Okay. So we have reached the last presenter, and right now we have a few questions from the reviewer, but we also open the floor for any other questions from whoever is listening. We will be more than willing to pose the question. So I will pose the first question to Dr. Ma, our first presenter. This is from our reviewer. Okay, Dr. Ma. Is there any feedback, Dr. Ma? Is there any feedback from the students after conducting the personalized learning?
Yes, we have many type of feedbacks from students, and we also actually our research is ongoing project, yeah, and also more likely it is practical oriented because since we have a lack of literature review on the personalized learning, so it is we are still at the Alias stage, but still we have many feedbacks from the students, especially what is their needs and what is their interest, yeah. Mm-hmm. As they are for their daily lives and also for their career life. Many I mean in because individually they are in different environments, yeah, so mm-hmm. different needs they have, so we are also still under learning progress, and also as I mentioned, we still try and test which way of personalized learning is the best for them.
Okay, thank you. Did you gather the feedback in written form or on Spectrum, or do they WhatsApp you personally, or how does it happen?
Some of them are in WhatsApp. Some of them are in emails, or sometimes in the Spectrum also. Sometimes so we can have when we meet each other also before COVID-19. So normally they tell us what their difficulties and how they can improve more on their own interests. Yeah. So okay. Normally we have discussions before that, before COVID. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Dr. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and well done on your presentation and the project as a whole. We appreciate very much. Thank you. We have a second question for.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. For Dr. Aisha.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Aisha, are you listening?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Right. Dr. Aisha.
Yes.
This is a question. I find that my students like short quizzes at the end of lessons too, but I didn't apply games. Would it be that students like the quizzes as a reassurance of their learning?
Okay. Yes. So I need to answer only one question, Dr. Noorsaadah.
There's another one.
All right.
Was the gamification used for assessment?
All right.
So there are two questions for you.
Two questions. All right. For number one, yes, actually, quiz will help students to understand the topic that has been discussed in the lesson better. So, yes, the answer to your question is yes. It helps students to understand better.
Dr. Aisha, can you switch on your video?
Right. Okay.
We can't see you. Yeah, sorry, thanks.
Okay, all right. Okay, so can you see me?
Not yet.
Not yet? Because I already switched on just now. All right.
Okay, now good.
Okay.
Now good.
Okay, so the answer to number one is yes, it helps students to understand the topic better, because every time you finish all the topics or lessons, students will ask you, where's the quiz? But when you say, oh, there's no quiz for this topic, oh, so they're very disappointed, because they can, whenever they do the quiz, they can see the level of their understanding straight away. Yeah. And then for question number two, that is about
was the gamification used for assessment?
Yes, actually you can for my study. Okay, I told to my students that I will use that marks in case there's something wrong with the assignments. In case your assignment is very low, the assignment marks is very low, I will use that as a backup. So the students will strive hard to get high marks for in the gamifications. So yes, you can do you can take the marks for assessment, but you can use that only to get their focus in the class. All right, and to keep the engagement of the students to the topic discussed.
So it's more of a formative assessment.
Yes,
rather
formative.
than a summative assessment.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that was the two questions for you. Thank you, Dr. Aisha.
All right, thank you.
We will move to Dr. Lui. Will you be able to switch on your video?
Yes.
Okay. How does the multiple intelligence of students? How was the multiple intelligence of the students were measured?
Oh,
how was it measured?
There is a tool that tabulated in Excel file. Is quite a standard questionnaire tool that we can actually get it from the website, and then it will actually tabulate when student answer to that particular questionnaire. It will actually tabulate it and give you the score of different type of the profile. And remember that because we have 8 different type of intelligence, so it will actually depends on the score for each intelligence. So as an instructor, we will be able to see which intelligence belongs to which students belong to which intelligence group. Yeah. Did I answer the question?
Yes, yes. I just unmuted. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all question for presenter number 3.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we have a question for presenter number 4, Dr. Tan.
Yes.
Dr. Tan, are you there? Okay. How does the personalized learning been monitored in pharmacokinetics? How many iterations of student feedback did you have to do?
We at the moment we do the monitoring as I mentioned is the pre and post intervention kind of assessment by looking at their scoring in the different items under the pharmacokinetics lectures. But throughout the course also, we actually allowed them to, we also provide informal kind of feedback, okay? So also actually, including the lecture itself, we also have a feedback evaluations, and then the tutorial as well. This is actually in collaboration with the medical education department in our faculty, where they also monitor the teaching learning activities. It's just that on top of that, we also monitor in addition to get the feedback from the students about what they feel about for example, the online platform that we provide, how to improve it, and then the cases that we put in, how they perform, you know, what they think they need more, things like that. So these are basically how we monitor them at the moment.
So much. That was all the questions we had from the reviewers and the floor. We will end our session now. Yes, thank you so much to all 4 presenters. We have learned a lot from you. We will resume at 2 o'clock at the second link that we have provided. So if you can see at the screen, bit.ly/LITEC 2020_link2. So we'll see everyone at 2 o'clock. And for now, let's have our lunch and rest. Thank you.